Hey guys, it's Luca from Learning MTG, and today I'm going to try a new strategy. So basically, I saw Avalanche Riders. It seems like pretty reasonable buy at $10 for lightly played foil. So one of the things that I've learned over the past few months is that these old bordered foils are really, really rare. For example, if you look at Avalanche Riders, there's only one near mint copy available. Even then, what is the probability that this is actually near mint? I would say less than 50%. And then past that, there's only one, two, three, four light played foils, and then there is one. I found one light played foil on eBay for 20 bucks. So, I think it's always good to experiment, keep pushing the boundaries, keep trying new strategies, especially if it's like kind of cheap to do so. So, I came up with this idea. I'm like, well, why don't I just try to corner the market on a card like this that's really scarce? So my plan is just basically to buy these four copies. I'll leave this $20 copy on eBay alone because I basically want to buy these and set them at this price at 30. So I don't think there's enough profit buying this one for 20, selling it for 30. Um, let's see, if I bought it for 20 and sold it for 30, you get 30 times like 0.87 minus about 1. So I'd only make like $5 on that one. So I basically like reduce my risk, and it's possible that the eBay market is different from the TCG market. So if I'm listing these on TCG, it won't be affected by, having a cheaper copy available on eBay. So let me talk a little bit more about this spec. Basically, one of the things I've noticed is this guy Team Blue Dot, very interesting guy, kind of inspired me a little bit because what I've noticed is he's got a lot of Urza's Legacy, Urza's Destiny foils listed, and what he does is he lists way above market price. So if this is selling at 10 bucks now, it was probably selling at 7, 8 bucks before. He just lists it for 30. So what does that tell me? This guy is basically like an investor. Um, most people that sell on TCG are selling at market price, but he's not going for that small flip. He's just trying to basically hold these cards until the price finally gets to where he's at and then sell them at that price. So he's like a long-term foil investor, and I have bought cards from him. So what does that tell me? That tells me that, when he's gone way above market price, the price has eventually hit that for particular cards because I bought from him, and I don't buy from him unless he's like one of the cheapest ones. Um, Also, he does grade very strictly, so if you buy from this guy, and I say him, it could be a her, I guess, but if you buy from Team Blue Dot, um, it's like the LP will be LP, NM will be NM, and so forth. So I'll say one more thing though is like so he's got some conviction, right? Because he's doing this with all the foils that he's selling, but it's not like complete conviction because if he was, if let's say I'm in his shoes and I don't know what his thought process is, but if I'm in his shoes and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this is 30, I would just buy up all the copies that are way less, right? Um, so he hasn't done that, and maybe it's because he doesn't have the capital, or maybe because he doesn't want to take that kind of risk. But I'll basically do it, right? So I'm kind of stepping in and doing that. It's interesting. It's almost like kind of like a game theory thing. It's like, okay, I trust this source of information. This source of information values the card at 30. And, given that I trust someone who values it at 30, I value it at 30. And if I value it at 30, then I'll buy all these copies for, 10, 12, 13 bucks. So yeah. So that's going to be the play. I'm basically going to add all these to my cart. So what are the actual mechanics of this? So I'm gonna buy these. These are gonna get mailed to me, and then I'm gonna have to check and see if they're the right condition. This near mint foil, I'm gonna bet it's gonna be actually LP, just because when you end up buying a lot of these old border foils, you realize that people like don't take into account surface damage. So it's probably going to have some kind of surface damage, so it's probably not going to be NM. But I'm actually okay buying an LP copy for 13, so I'll actually keep it even if it's LP. So I'm going to buy these cards. They're going to get mailed to me. Then I'm going to list them. I'm going to check to make sure that they're all LP. If they're worse, I'll send them back for a refund. And if they're LP, then I will list them. And I'm going to list them for 1 cent less than this. So I'll list them. These are $29.98. So I'll list it for $29.97. And we'll see how it happens. It'll be like a little experiment. If this works, you could definitely do this for similar cards. So what is the key here? The key is that it's extremely scarce, right? So if it was a card that there's like millions of copies floating around and I buy them all up and I list them at 30, then people will just come under me and they'll just sell it like 15 or 13 or 14 or 20, right? And then this won't work at all. Cornering a market theoretically only works when, you've kind of taken all the supply and there's not much left. And maybe even cornering isn't the right word. Maybe I'm just, buying these because they're way undervalued and then listing them at a more reasonable price. I guess one more thing is like, is this risky? It's not a reserve list card, right? So they can keep reprinting this card, and they have, but I posit that people do want the oldest version foil. It's like special, so. And I'm not the only one, right? There's at least one other person, Team Blue Dot, that agrees with me. So this will be a little experiment. Let's see what it runs me to do this experiment. It's gonna cost me $45 plus tax. So I'll just complete this purchase. I don't want to show any of my personal information, but yeah, I'm gonna buy this, and I'll make future videos. So I'll make another video when I get the cards and I kind of grade them, check to see if they're the right condition, and then I'll make a third video if some of them start selling or if they don't start selling. So another really useful piece of information that I like to look at is the last sold listing. So if you're a seller on TCG, you can look at these. So this is the kind of things I want to see. If the lowest listing's like $13, but the last sold listing was like $8, that's a big gap I don't want to see. But the last sold listing was for about $12. So it does seem that people have been buying at this price. So that's good to see. And also for LP. Well, I guess I'm not. Okay, so that's not a great example because that's the NM. But people have been buying for 9. So that's not too bad. Again, this is an experiment, right? So who knows what's going to happen, but it's going to cost me maybe $50 and I'm going to learn a really powerful lesson, and I'm very happy to spend $50 to learn that lesson. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.